Luke continues, "Woe to you that are rich, for you have received your consolation. Woe to you that are full, for you shall hunger. Woe to you that laugh now, for you shall mourn and weep." This opposite makes me feel like I really should have had it the first way. Woe to you that are full. He's not saying, woe to you that are full of righteousness, for you shall hunger, meaning you're no longer going to be righteous. Woe to you that are full. I really wonder why he even said that. Woe to you that are full? Is it a sin to be full? When you're talking about food? I don't know if he's talking about gluttony here. I don't think he is, because you can be full without being a glutton. That's happened. I'm sure that's happened. Woe to you that are full. Woe to you that are full. He might be talking about gluttony. Woe to you that are full, like all the time. That's just how you are. That's just your life. For you shall hunger. I don't get it. I really don't understand why he said that. Woe to you that laugh now. Laughter is not evil. That's not a sin. The joy of the Lord is my strength. Woe to you that laugh now, for you shall mourn and weep. Woe to you when all men shall speak well of you. Okay, when all men speak well of you, I totally understand that. We are not to be friends of the world. There should be some people who hate you because you're speaking the truth and they hate the truth. And there are always going to be those people. So when all men shall speak well of you, I can get that. For so did their fathers to the false prophets. Oh yeah, okay, all people love the false prophets. Well, that's not true, because the true prophets did not speak well of the false prophets. I really wonder if this is accurately recorded. But I'll just leave it. I'm just going to leave it. Now, verse 13. You are the salt of the earth. Now, Mark continues by speaking about we being salt. If salt has lost its savor, or its saltiness, wherewith will you season it? Have salt in yourselves, and have peace one with another. Because it is so similar with what Jesus said about us being the salt of the earth in the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5:13. I'm actually going to move that verse over here. Matthew 5:13. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is therefore good for nothing, but to be cast out, and to be trodden under foot of men. And again, the reason why I moved all those other verses from the Sermon on the Mount is because they are mirrored, or more likely, where they were originally spoken during the timeline in Luke. And this is an example of where it was probably originally spoken in Mark. And Matthew just put it all together to get Jesus' ideology across and his exhortation for forgiveness and repentance. So anyway, this right here is a combination of that verse, Matthew 5:13, and Mark 9:49. It's the next verse. Salt is good, but if the salt has lost its saltiness. The verse in Matthew is, you are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has lost its savor. So you are the salt of the earth. I am more okay with that than having a repeat, because if I was going to leave this repeat, that means that wherever else Matthew has something that is repeated from somewhere else, I ought to still have it twice. Once wherever it's written in Matthew, and then once again where it's written in Mark and Luke. And that totally takes away the entire point of this project, which is to put everything in chronological order and to take the hints mostly from Mark and Luke and John, because those are chronological. There's a huge gaps in John, but Matthew is definitely not in order. There's some parts, but it's all towards convincing the Jews that Jesus was the Messiah. He is the King of Israel. He fulfills prophecy. So I would rather go along with putting everything in order, taking repeats and removing them from Matthew, putting them in the other place where I believe it's most likely in order, and leaving whatever's left in Matthew as it stands, without those extra words. You are the light of the world. Cannot be hidden. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works, and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Think not that I am come to destroy, but to fulfill. Till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. So the verse in Matthew that's similar to here in Luke, it's easier for heaven and earth to pass than one tittle of the law to fail, is part of the Sermon on the Mount, and I didn't move it. Matthew 5:18. For verily I say to you, till heaven and earth pass. Luke just begins, and it is easier for heaven and earth to pass. So I'll keep, for verily I say to you, and then I'll start combining by till heaven and earth pass. Now, just a small difference between these two. In Matthew, he says, until, or the word till, heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law. So it would seem to be saying, when heaven and earth pass, at that time, then perhaps some things will be changed in the law at that time. But Luke says something very different. He says, it is easier for heaven and earth to pass than one tittle of the law to fail. So, is he saying how difficult it is for something of the law to fail or to change? Or is he giving a time when the law will change? I think they pretty much mean the same thing, that nothing's going to change until the end of time, or it just won't happen, at least until everything ends. Time. So because they both pretty much, at least to me, seem to say it's just not going to be changed. The law is not going to change. It's going to be fulfilled. And there's a big argument about what that really means. I'm not going to get into that. But he's saying that it's not changing. There will not be a change to the law. I think it's more clearly said in Matthew than in Luke. Because Luke says it's easier for heaven and earth to pass than for the law to fail. Which means that it may be very difficult for God, but he still could do it. Because he set in place heaven and earth, and he has the power then to change it. But what is said in Matthew is more forceful. One jot or one tittle shall in no wise, it will just not pass from the law. So at least at that point in time, or it's that far out from possibility that it will just not happen, instead of it's difficult. I mean, God could still do what's difficult, but here in Matthew it seems to be more forceful. So I'm going to keep it said how Matthew has it, till heaven and earth pass. And in Luke it says heaven and earth to pass, so I could put heaven and earth, and I'll leave the word to out, but pass is also there. And because I'm keeping this wording, I will leave out then one tittle of the law to fail. I'll just go on to one. Actually, I'll say it's the one tittle. So heaven and earth to pass, that's both. And I'll leave one jot or from Matthew and say one tittle also from Luke of the law. So the law is both. From the law or of the law. And again, I'm going with the way Matthew says, so just from the law. Shall in no wise pass from the law to fail. So the word to is not here, so just the law is both. So the wording did not change at all. I'm just saying those specific words are also from Luke. And to fail or to pass. Fail. Could something from the law fail without passing? I guess no, because the law is standard. The standard would fail. That'd be unthinkable. But for the standard to pass away, that's more easily understand. Fail. Yeah, I still like the way Matthew has it, because he's talking about the fact that the law is being kept still. Not that even if he changed it, that wouldn't mean that the law fails. It would mean that the law changed. It's different now. It didn't fail. So, shall in no wise pass, meaning it's not being changed. I'm going to keep the wording from Matthew. It just seems more concrete. It's more sure the way it's worded in Matthew. That's it. The other words I can't put in there. And is not here. It is easier. No. I say to you till heaven. Yeah. So all those words we're just going to have to leave out. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. Exceed the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees. You shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. You have heard that it was said by them of old time, you shall not kill. But I say to you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. Raka, ye counsel, you fool, hellfire. Therefore, if you bring your gift to the altar and there remember that your brother has anything against you, leave there your gift before the altar and go your way. First, be reconciled to your brother, and then come and offer your gift. Agree with your adversary quickly. However, the next verses in Luke 57 and 58. Yea, and why even of yourselves judge you not what is right? When you go with your adversary to the magistrate, as you are on the way, give diligence that you may be delivered from him, lest he hale you to the judge, and the judge deliver you to the officer, and the officer cast you into prison. I tell you, you shall not depart from there till you have paid the very last mite. That's similar to something in the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5, 25 and 26. Agree with your adversary quickly while you are in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver you to the judge, and the judge deliver you to the officer, and you be cast into prison. Verily I say to you, you shall by no means come out of there till you have paid the uttermost farthing. These verses I do want to move from the Sermon on the Mount to here, because the context is just what Jesus says. It doesn't say, yes, it does say, again, the Sermon on the Mount is here on the mountain, but because there are so many other portions of the Sermon on the Mount that I'm convinced are brought over here from elsewhere, I'll move this one as well since it's so similar. So that is Matthew 5, 25 and 26. Agree with your adversary quickly to the uttermost farthing. So all of that I'll move. I'll stop there for now.